Good afternoon and welcome to July's podcast. This is now, believe it or not, episode 14. This one's going to be all about making it flow, so how to make the dancing flow as we are dancing and rather than being all staccato. But we'll come on to that a bit later. As usual, a few quick updates for you. So first of all, freestyles coming up. Tonight is Swindon, Chill Out to Swindon, 3 DJs, myself, lovely Peter Nicol and Kevin Hyde, 8 until midnight. Always a great night, normally between 150 and 200 people there, so you come along for that. Sunday, Chippenham Chilled Sunday again. Love the afternoon dancing in Chippenham. Dot's making cakes as usual. Kevin's the DJ. Dot's just won the UK Best Cake Maker, so thank you for that. For tea dances rather than just generally, because that's a bit wide scoping. And last but not least, in July is the In the Mix freestyle at Bradford Haven next Saturday, which is the 20th. Always love that one as well. I'm DJing that event. Beginners Day is the following day, then on the 21st of July. Still some space available. Book online at soroc.com for all your website things. So that's the next Beginners Day taking place there. Bringing a member offer is still running. If you're an existing member and you bring a brand new person along, you'll both get started free that week. Just a quick bit about competitions. There's 2 competitions coming up. There's one tomorrow, but not a Soroc one. 2 Soroc ones coming up. So one at the end of the month is the Southwest Champs down in Devon, in Exeter. Lovely Ivan and Kate are running that one. Still some space available. Definitely recommend that one. And then at the end of September is the Welsh Champs with Lindsay Bennett is the one that's running that one this year. So again, both great competitions. People ask me about doing competitions, whether they should, whether they shouldn't. All I'd say is it does give you a focus. It gives you an indication about where you are, and it gives you a chance to practice and push yourself. So yeah, as long as you're enjoying them, then give it a go. There's nothing wrong about doing competitions. Go for it is always my suggestion. A few other bits and pieces. Big Bath Bash next year is on Saturday, 25th of January. Once a year in the Guildhall in Bath. Do book your tickets for that, available online at soroc.com. Masterclasses are booking up already. Everything's already on sale. We've kept the prices the same as last year as well. And we do run intermediate review sessions, just the same as we run beginner practice sessions. That generally takes place about 20 minutes after the class has finished. Everybody's welcome to come along to those. You don't need a partner as usual for that. And private lessons, all teachers are available for private lessons. Please do PM me to sort that out. Hello, Richard Chandler. Thank you for saying hi. Hello to everybody else that's joined in. Just a very few questions this week, and then we'll get on to the main topic. So first question is, I heard my teacher use the word sit and stretch. What does this mean? Yeah, you can sit down at the end of a slot if that's a styling particular position that you want to use. Stretching is more about something we'll talk more about in flow, if I'm honest. So sit and stretch. Depends on what the song is, but I wouldn't necessarily be a big fan of it necessarily. But you can do it, so that's kind of what it means. It means sitting down at the end of the slot and stretching away from your partner. You can do that more as a lead rather than a follow, as long as you transfer your weight back towards your partner as you go to lead. Second one, do I have to slot? What's wrong with rotation if it matches the music? I'm thinking ronde. Okay, so to do a ronde, for those that don't know, just very quickly, down at the feet of him, put my dance shoes on for once. Okay, so a ronde is where you draw a circle around like this. You can go backwards, you can go front ways, either works. Okay, and quite often as a man I could do a front ronde and you'd come round, or as a lady quite often you would take a step back and then do a back ronde. So any of those options can work. Okay, so that's kind of slightly separate than doing kind of rotational dancing. So a ronde, feel free to put that in at any time that you like. Okay. Regarding rotation, there's nothing wrong in putting a rotational move in. So something like pivots, where you're in ballroom frame and you're going round in a circle, or if you're doing pivot moves where you're leading the lady round and going in a circle, absolutely. Or turning the lady fast and going round in a circle. Of course, you can do all of those types of things. However, being on the slot does enable you to do much more advanced moves, because A, you know where you're going to be, and B, your partner knows where you're going to be as well. And as a lead, you know that your partner's going to go in a straight line, and therefore that gives you more scope to do lots of different things. So yeah, I'd highly recommend doing more slotted dancing. I've had a few people recently say the slot only applies when you're in classes. Again, I don't know where that's come from, but we teach you on the slot. We try and get you to dance on the slot. It helps everybody if you can dance on the slot. Quite often in a room, you'll have the slats of the wood that are down on the floor. Try going along those slats. So go either up the room or go across the room is what I always suggest to people. If you go on the diagonal, then it's much more difficult to keep the slot. So just a tip for you there. And the last part, if the singer says stop, why should I? you don't have to do anything, if I'm honest. But yeah, if the singer says stop, then it's a good bit of musicality to kind of stop at that point. So so yes. Just a quick one there from Mandy. I have been practicing to try and body roll and make it flow. I think that's what you're trying to say there. Yeah. Practicing body rolls is always an interesting one to do. Just remember to try and push your head through the letterbox, and then bring each of the individual parts separately through, and then at the end just go like that. There's a technical way of teaching a body roll. Or as I often say, try and find a wall you can practice up against and get each part of your body to contact that wall as you're flowing through that. So yeah, it's kind of a way of doing a body roll. I shan't demonstrate it this week for you, but maybe another time. So a question I've had a number of times is about what is flow and how do you make your dancing flow and all of that type of stuff. This is quite a technical topic, if I'm honest. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work from the feet right up to the head and actually show you the different ways in which you can try and make your body flow and therefore flow with the music. I actually looked at what is the definition of flow in dance, and it's the actual grace of your movement or dance is the official term for flow, but there we go. So yes, how do we make it flow? It's one thing, you know, saying you want to flow more in the dance and that type of stuff, but how do you do it? What is the technique behind it? And actually it's really quite dull to actually work on all of these techniques, as often is the case in regards to making yourself better at anything. Okay, so hello to everybody that's joining, by the way. Welcome along. I won't say hello to everybody, but yeah, welcome along. So first things first, we're going to work on the feet. So you now get the pleasure of seeing my feet. Okay, we're going to do a quick, you can join in if you wish, I don't mind on this. Okay, we're going to do a quick exercise in regards to how to roll through your feet. So when we talk about rolling through your feet, what we're looking for is that you should start off with the ball of your foot and then roll through to the heel and then stretch out. We'll talk more through that in a moment. Okay, what you're looking for is make sure you're on the tips of your toes. You roll through your toes to the ball of your foot and then down to the heel. And a little exercise that you can do is what we call the walking exercise. Okay, so when you are walking, you can walk like this and you're alternating the feet. So one goes up as the other one goes down. Okay, and what you can do is you can squeeze your core muscles, and you can do this in normal time with the music of going 5, 6, 7, 8. And what's quite a nice exercise to try and do is then to slow that down. So you'll go 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So you're now taking 2 counts each time. And then of course you could slow that down even more. And the more you control it, the more you'll then be in control of your feet, and everything comes from the feet. Obviously, the quicker you go, the speedier that is. Okay, so try and do that exercise. Just put one track on for 3 minutes and just try doing different timings and actually try and really work on the legs moving and rolling through the feet. As one comes up, the other one comes down. Okay, so that's the first part. The next part, again, I can sit down just for a second, okay, is so I often talk to people when I'm doing lessons with them about the fact that when we learn how to dance, is actually we're kind of learning how to walk again, and that when you learn how to walk as a 1-year-old, there or thereabouts, you would learn to walk with your heel first and then into your toe. Quite often when we're dancing, most of the time, we would actually be going toe to heel. When we're going backwards, and I'll show you this again very quickly, when we're going backwards, that's not too much of an issue because we're going to go backwards and go toe down to the heel. However, when we're coming forwards, what lots of people do is they do a heel lead and then roll into their toe. It's not necessarily wrong. However, it's much nicer as you come forward, you do a toe to a heel lead. And that again is going to make your dancing fluid and much more fluid. Okay, so an example of that would be in the co-mambo. The beginners move the co-mambo. You step back in one foot. Well, let's just use our right foot for now, and I'm stepping back toe to heel. As I'm coming forward, again, I'm going toe to heel and then straightening the leg, and that's going to give much more fluidity rather than this sort of motion, okay, making it flat-footed. Right, so that's kind of trying to do that, but it's almost like learning how to walk again, which is quite difficult to do. So we're looking to go toe to heel each time you step. Now, how do you get that? You get that by pitching your body weight slightly further forwards than you traditionally would do. Okay, so you try and get your body weight pitched forward. We call it the cot moment, the chest over toes. Okay, so that's where you're trying to then position your weight slightly further forward. So you're going to do a toe lead into. This applies to both leads and follows, by the way. This isn't individually to either. So that's the first part. So that's down to your feet, okay? Now, last month we spoke about, please have a look back on the YouTube channel. I've put my name up there so you can see. It's a wonderful way of spelling my name. About the journey of the knee, and that was last month. I'll very quickly talk you through that again, okay? I won't spend too long. Please do feel free to look back on last month's, right? But we've talked about the journey of the knee. So the knee comes forwards to start with, and then you step back, and then you straighten that leg each time, okay? So you simply bring the knee forwards, and then you straighten the leg as you come back, okay? You don't want to take too big a step because you'll never get your weight backwards, and your weight should be over your back foot as you take that step back. And we're looking for the leg to make sure that you stretch into that leg, straighten the leg, and then that's going to sort out the hips, which we'll come on to next, okay? Other bits on that, you want to make sure that the angle of the foot is pointing towards 1 o'clock, as you step forwards as well. So I'll come back a bit so you can see the angle of the foot is towards 1 o'clock. It doesn't want to come forwards and end up turning in, because again, it's not going to make it flow. Okay? We want to make sure the journey of the knee and the feet are connected, in that we have this angle of my right foot. So as I step back, I'm flowing through that foot. If as I step back, it's flat-footed, it's going to be very staccato, and therefore you're not going to get any fluidity. Okay, so that's kind of the knees part of it, which is the next part for you, okay? Now, next stage is the hips. So again, we're working from the bottom up to the top, okay? So we've sorted the feet. They're going to roll through. With the leg, we want to make sure we're straightening that leg as we step back, and then that's going to bring the hips into action, okay? So again, just standing up quickly for you. So each time that I step back, because I'm rolling through my foot, my hip goes the opposite direction to start with. As I step back, I'm straightening the leg, and naturally my hip is then going to come out to the side. I'm not forcing it out to the side, but I'm really straightening the leg, and that is then going to make this direction fluid. So it goes back, round, and then forwards again. And each time that I'm taking that step, that is what's happening. So I'm pushing the hip, push down into the floor. And I often say this in that, it's again, a little bit technical, but if you're pushing down into the floor, you're putting energy into the floor, but that energy the floor doesn't take it, the floor's solid, okay? So therefore there's got to be a break somewhere, okay? That first break, because you've straightened your leg, the first break is in the hip, and therefore that is the bit that's going to move. So that's why your hip action will be more exaggerated if you push harder down into the floor. Imagine there's somebody you don't like underneath your heels. Again, what I often say to somebody. Into the arms next. So again, lots of people, as they step back, they lock out their arm. Now, if you lock out the arm or lock out any part of this part of your body, it's going to have a jarring motion. Lots of ladies are saying their shoulder hurting a bit. If they've got a locked out arm, this is the bit that's going to be pulled. So that's never going to be good. If we have a bend in the arm, then we're going to have this suspension, okay? And that's going to make it nice and easy, okay? So make sure you always have a bend in the arm as you step in. Again, you keep the bend in the arm for the men, and sorry, for the ladies, and the men, or the leads and the follows, whichever way you want to do it, okay? So there's that part. Now this next bit, I've been experimenting with this quite a lot over the last few weeks, really. And this is for the ladies or the follows, and that is what we call the hooking, okay? Now, what we often get you to say is when you very first start is that you're looking to make a shape of an N, and you hook your hand over the top of the man's hand, okay? I'm aware that it would be the other way around, but just for the emphasis of this video. Okay, now, what lots of ladies do is they hook with their hand, and then they curl their fingers back. Okay, now that creates this stopping motion, okay, which makes you feel quite a heavy follow, okay, because there's literally nowhere else to go. If, however, you stretch your fingers out like that, as you step back all of the time, you've got this motion going on, and therefore you're slowing down more as you step back, but then it will feel much more fluid. So basically, ladies, your fingers should be pointing towards the man when you step back, okay? And even when you step in, still have them pointing slightly towards your partner. As soon as you hook it round, that's when you get this locking motion and you become a much heavier follow. Give it a go. I promise you, it's kind of one of those things you go, oh, I've been doing that for years. Okay, so in a very weird way, right? So there's that part. So try and make sure we are not hooking. The fingers shouldn't be pointing towards you. They should be pointing towards ever so slightly your partner. Again, lots of people worry about slipping off, but as long as you've got decent connection with your fingers, it's not a problem. And again, just on that, the reason a lot of ladies do that is because they say they're concerned about falling over when they're dancing. Well, take responsibility for your own dancing, ladies. It's not the man's job to keep you standing upright. When you're walking along the street, you don't require a man to hold you up, okay, unless it's been a very long night. Okay, so ladies, it's your responsibility to kind of do your thing, not the man's responsibility. Right, next bit, shoulders. Okay, again, we're looking to make something flow. So therefore, each time you're moving your body, try and think, can you move your shoulders backwards? Can they go up and down? Whatever you're going to do, just try and make your body fluid. If you lock out these parts, again, it's just going to be very, very staccato. And last part is the head. So again, you can move the head with your body as well, and therefore that's going to make you feel like it's more fluid. Again, for competition purposes, I suggest to ladies quite often about bringing their hair down rather than tying it up, because if they move their head one way, then the hair keeps going, hairography, as they like to call it, and therefore that makes it look like it's flowing even more. Okay, so yes, Anya, do get back to dancing. We'd love to have you back. Okay, so yeah, put the hair down, make the hair flow even more, and again, that's going to make it look pretty good. Right, now, overall, I'm going to give you 5 different quick recaps of all of this. Okay, so that's all the technique, working from the base right up to the top. Okay, one of the techniques I see in lots of different styles of dancing, not just what we do in Sarok, is that the ability when you step back away from your partner, it's like you're breathing. Okay, that sounds weird, I know, but what I want you to imagine is that when you step back, what lots of people do is they step back and immediately they're coming forwards again, be the lead or the follow. What I want you to imagine is that when you step back, you kind of go, and you're coming forwards again. So the time it takes you to step back should be the time it takes you to take a breath. Now, please don't, when you're dancing, breathe like that every time you take a step back. You will hyperventilate, okay? So I'm not suggesting that. But that basic principle about going, and then coming forwards again should make your dancing feel like you're flowing much, much more, okay? So there's that first part, okay? Secondly, these are all technical aspects which sound quite boring to do, and most people, like when we go to the physio and they say, please go away and do these exercises, most people go, of course I will, and never do. But they are quite boring to do sometimes. However, that's what the best dancers will do. They'll practice their basics. No champion ever turned up to a competition and just did it. There's an enormous amount of hard work that goes on behind the scenes from everybody that ever does anything. So yes, do practice what it is. Right, now there's also, last part on this is 5 mental ways, working on the brain, okay, to make things flow. Okay, so first of all, challenge yourself, have a go. That's the first one, okay? It can only go wrong. So just number 2 is let go. Does it matter if it goes wrong? The world's still going to turn tomorrow. Really doesn't matter at all, okay? It's 3.5 minutes of somebody's life. Just, it's one of those things. So just give it a go. It can only go right or wrong, okay? Next part, I like this, be in the moment. Okay, so just think about you, your partner, and the music. So just think about those 3 things. Don't worry about what's happening tomorrow or what's happened during the day. Just be in the moment, okay? Next one, don't stop if you're trying to make it flow, okay? Keep the momentum going all of the time. I often talk about my Scalextrics track, okay, regarding momentum. So you go fast along the straight, and then you slow down as you go around the corner. Fast along the straight, go round the corner. Okay? That's the momentum all the way like that, okay? So that's what you're looking to do. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate your comment. Okay, so the only other part, though, is going back to the question that was earlier, that if it does say stop, then properly stop, and therefore that's going to add more light and shade into your dancing. So if you're going to stop, stop. Don't stop and then keep going, stop. Then you can start again once you've done that part, okay? And the last part, this is practice, and it sounds a really silly thing to do, but practice, practice, practice. Make it so that your bad day is still 8 out of 10. Okay, so even if you're competing or just dancing on the dance floor, even if it's not going right for you and it's going terribly, it should still be 8 out of 10 for you, okay? And therefore, you're still going to have a great time. So, of course, the more we enjoy something, the better we're going to be at it. So always try and enjoy it. But yeah, practice. That's what it's all about, okay? Anyway, that's the end of this month's podcast for you, okay? As I said earlier, available on the YouTube channel. It'll be available via iTunes and Spotify as an audio podcast later on. I'll do an edited version that I'll put out via Facebook as well. Thank you very much for everybody that's watching, and hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you again next month. Thank you very much.